Do you ever feel invisible? Do you ever feel empty even when surrounded by people? How many times have you given everything and still felt nothing in return? How many times have you tried to please everyone and ended up exhausted, drained, forgotten? You smile, but inside you collapse. You give, but inside you break. You pretend to be strong, but inside you scream. You know this pain, the pain of rejection, the pain of criticism, the pain of always being not enough. You carry the weight of other people's expectations. You bend your back for their comfort. You sacrifice your peace for their approval. And yet, what do you receive? Silence, judgment, a cold stare, a label you never asked for. They call you selfish. They call you distant. They call you cold, but deep down you know, you are tired. Tired of being the savior. Tired of being the caretaker. Tired of being the one who bleeds so others can live. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep breaking myself for people who never notice? Why do I keep giving my soul to those who only take? Listen, this is not strength. This is not love. This is slavery. And you feel it every night before you sleep. Every morning when you wake, a voice inside whispering, something is wrong. Something has to change. The truth is, your suffering does not come from them. Not from their words, not from their silence, not from their rejection. Your suffering comes from inside, from the wound you try to hide, from the voice that says, if they don't love me, I am nothing. You've been trained since childhood to be good, to be nice, to never say no, to sacrifice yourself for others, to carry the emotions of everyone around you, to prove your worth by being endlessly available. But this is not kindness. This is chains. Chains around your soul, chains around your freedom. And every time you run from pain, you only feed it. Every time you seek approval, you only lose yourself more. The world tells you to love is to give everything. But they never tell you to give everything is to lose yourself. You can't escape your own shadow. You can't silence the truth inside. No matter how many smiles you force, no matter how many sacrifices you make, that emptiness remains. It grows louder each time you betray yourself. It grows sharper each time you say yes when you mean no. It grows heavier each time you hide your pain to keep the peace. And deep down, you know, this is not about them. It's about you. About the fear that if you stand alone, you will be abandoned. About the fear that if you set boundaries, you will lose love. But tell me, what kind of love do you have if it only exists when you destroy yourself? That is not love. That is dependency. That is fear dressed as kindness. That is slavery of the heart. And unless you see it, unless you face it, you will continue to suffer, not because of them, but because you refuse to choose yourself. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Think about that for a moment. How much of your life is not truly yours? How many choices were never your choices, but the echo of old wounds? How many times did you sacrifice yourself, not because you wanted to, but because you were afraid to be alone? This is the revelation. It was never about them. It was always about you, your unconscious pain, your hidden shadow, your secret need to be approved. The world calls you cold when you protect yourself, but Jung would call it individuation, the process of becoming whole, the process of separating from the herd to finally stand as an individual. Nietzsche said it in another way. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. And he was right. The herd demands your obedience. The herd demands your silence. The herd demands your soul, but your soul was not made for slavery. Your soul was made for freedom. Freedom is not given. Freedom is taken. Freedom begins when you dare to say, no, this is my limit. This is my life, and yes, they will hate you for it. They will call you selfish. They will call you arrogant. They will call you cold, but listen carefully. Their anger is not proof of your weakness. It is proof of your growth. It is proof that you no longer belong to the cage. It is proof that you are finally choosing yourself. The revelation is simple yet terrifying. To heal is to lose the approval of the crowd. To be whole is to be misunderstood. To be free is to walk alone. And that is why so few ever taste freedom. Look around you. Most people are asleep. Most people are chained. Most people confuse approval with love. The weak give everything and receive nothing. The strong give carefully and protect their soul. The weak chase the crowd. The strong walk alone. The weak scream for attention. The strong remain silent. The weak are afraid of rejection. The strong are not afraid of solitude. Do you see the contrast? Two paths, two destinies. One is slavery. One is freedom. The herd lives in noise. The individual lives in silence. The herd obeys. The individual creates. The herd fears judgment. The individual embraces misunderstanding. And here is the truth: you cannot be both. You cannot be loved by everyone and free at the same time. You must choose. Will you keep sacrificing yourself for their comfort, or will you dare to protect your soul? They will always call you names. They will always twist your choices into insults. They will always try to pull you back into the cage. But listen, the cage is crowded. Freedom is lonely, and yet freedom is the only place where you can finally breathe. Remember this: the weak react. The strong observe. The weak follow. The strong lead. The weak surrender their soul. The strong guard it like fire. This is the line between them and you. This is the difference between the lost and the awakened. So what does it mean to truly change? It means you stop running. It means you stop hiding. It means you face the very things you fear. First, you must face your pain. Not avoid it. Not bury it. Not distract yourself with noise. You must sit with it. You must look at it. You must allow it to burn you until it no longer controls you. Second, you must meet your shadow, the part of you you've denied, the anger, the selfishness, the hunger for freedom. You've been told these parts are evil, but they are not. They are power waiting to be claimed. Third, you must embrace silence, not the silence of fear, the silence of strength. When you no longer need to prove yourself, when you no longer need to shout to be heard, when your very presence speaks louder than words. Fourth, you must create new values, not the values of the herd, not the values of blind obedience, but your own definition of love, your own definition of strength, your own definition of freedom. And finally, you must embrace solitude, because solitude is not weakness, it is power. It is in solitude that you meet yourself. It is in solitude that you hear your soul. It is in solitude that you learn. You were never empty. You were never broken. You were only drowned by the voices of others. This path is not easy. It is not quick. It is not painless. But it is real. And here is the paradox. The deeper you go into the pain, the freer you become. The more you accept your shadow, the brighter your light grows. The more you embrace solitude, the less lonely you feel, because you finally understand you were never meant to be part of the noise. You were meant to be whole. You were meant to be strong. You were meant to be free. So take the step, face the pain, integrate the shadow, choose the silence, claim your solitude, and watch as your chains begin to fall. They call you cold. Because you no longer bend, they call you selfish. Because you finally said no, they call you distant. Because you stopped bleeding for their comfort, they call you arrogant. Because you refuse to be a slave. But listen, what they call cold, you call strength. What they call selfish, you call survival. What they call distant, you call protection. What they call arrogant, you call freedom. Repeat it with me. They call you cold. You call it freedom. Say it again. They call you cold. You call it freedom. When you guard your soul, they won't understand. When you choose silence, they won't accept it. When you refuse to break, they will fear you, because your strength exposes their weakness. Your silence exposes their noise. Your freedom exposes their chains, and so they attack you. They insult you. They reject you. They call you cold, but deep down you know, this is not the end. This is the beginning. The moment you choose yourself over the herd, the moment you stop begging for love, the moment you walk alone and discover you are not weak, you are whole. Remember this. When you build a strong mind, it scares them. When you choose silence, it commands them. When you set boundaries, it transforms you. They will never admit it, but your freedom is the very thing they desire. And that is why they call you cold. Not because you are empty, but because you are untouchable. If you are still here, you are not ordinary. Most people quit when the truth becomes heavy. Most people turn away when the mirror shows their wounds, but you stayed. You listened. You faced it, and that means something. It means you are ready. It means you are rare. It means you are one of the few who dare to choose freedom over comfort. So let me ask you, are you ready to claim it? Are you ready to walk the lonely path? Are you ready to stop begging and start becoming? Write it in the comments now. I choose my freedom, or I choose my peace. Let the world know, not because they need to hear it, but because you need to declare it. And remember, this journey is not over. This video is not the end. It is only the beginning, because every step you take, every chain you break, every silence you embrace, leads you closer to the life you were meant to live. If these words spoke to you, don't walk away in silence. Subscribe now, because this is just the beginning of the journey, and write it in the comments below. I choose my freedom, or I choose my peace. Let the world know you are not afraid to stand alone. Your voice matters. Your presence here means you are rare. Join us and let's walk this path together.